up and coming ripper or ripper currently in the enduro scene. Canyon, welcome to Action Figures episode 3. Appreciate you getting on.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about the scene in North America, because from an outsider's perspective, not following it super close, Europeans definitely kind of dominate. Yeah. So what is it like right now?
I'd say the scene in North America can be a little rough.
Yeah.
I think the Pacific Northwest scene is thriving more than anything. I just think the trails here are like, I'd say, best in the nation for sure. You get up into Washington, up near the border, like that stuff's crazy. Big Mountain Enduro kind of stepped up last year, and this year it looks like we got some crazy venues. So it's coming up for sure. And with the Monster Pro Downhill Series, I don't know if you've seen any of that.
No, not yet.
That's new as of last year, and I know that's downhill. It's like a different discipline, but
it's North America?
It's North American, and it's sick. Huge, and it's getting a lot of traction.
Good.
So between Big Mountain Enduro and the Pro Downhill Series, like that's been happening or been growing in the past 2 years, like massively. So that's awesome, because that's kind of spread out across the nation. Yeah. Across, North America.
Cool.
So I think it's good, but it's nowhere close to what Europe is. And we have, obviously the World Series of downhill and the EDRs for enduro, and it's all in Europe. Yeah. It's not real. It's like the European Series is what it should be, because it's every race is in Europe.
Yeah.
But I mean, the scene's growing here.
Yeah.
It's hard to say it's not. People always say enduro's dead, but I don't think it's dying.
Yeah. That's how hard enduro for moto is.
Yeah.
It's almost parallel. And that's like what I've gotten really into the last probably 4 or 5 years. And in the US, it's certainly growing. I would say it's exploding. Like there's one stop at pretty much every year on the World Enduro Circuit in North America. And then there's another one out at Silver in Kellogg.
Yeah.
So do you race that? Have you raced that race in Silver?
North American Enduro Cup is actually what it's called. It's probably, if not one of the most fun, if not the most fun event of the year for enduros. And the hard enduro moto happens I think it's a week or 2 weeks after the bike course.
Yeah, it's like probably 2 weeks.
Yeah. Silver is rad though, because they're a private mountain. So they every year they're fresh cutting at least like 2 to 3 stages, just super raw. And last year they did one of the stages. We didn't get to race it because it ended up snowing, but they just ran motos up like a grass field through some trees. They just lapped it and then taped it off, and that was the course. Silver's dope. Silver's like the place to be.
Silver's insane.
Kellogg's a tiny town. Yeah. Not much happening, but the riding is nuts.
Do they, for that race, does you guys just take over the whole town basically? Parking lot.
Yes. Yeah. Parking lot's flooded. The restaurant, like good luck trying to eat somewhere. There's like 3 restaurants to go to, and they're packed.
Yeah.
That's
what makes that so special for the moto side is it feels like a European race in the fact of like all 500 of us, we start at the bottom of the gondola.
Yeah.
And in the morning we all ride up through town, and like everybody's got checkered flags hanging from their doors. You guys do like
a parade almost through town.
Yeah. And like people are outside like cheering us on, and it's really cool because coming from a sport where it's like, especially growing up here, it's like not, you get in trouble more than you get praised. Yeah. So like to see that community, you'll be like, this is really cool that this is happening.
Yeah.
And they don't give a shit if people are riding wheelies down the street.
No, they're giving you thumbs up and they're always stoked. And you go to get gas there, and like the gas attendant dude's like, "Oh, you guys riding Silver?
Yeah.
You guys riding?" You're like, "Yeah, hell yeah." Like, rip it up for me. I'm like, dude, this is dope. I love it.
Yeah. We went up what you guys went down.
Yeah.
So,
dude, you can see some of the lines from the gondola.
Yeah.
Like every year we're riding up the gondola, and we're like, damn, dude, in 2 weeks, those boys are riding straight up that shit.
Yeah.
It's so gnarly.
The pro guys they go right up that line.
Yeah. What a gondola line.
Yeah.
Line.
I'm glad I don't have to. I'm one not, I'm an I'm an A boy. And, but for some of those bigger races like Silver is locally, I would race pro. Silver, I race A. And in silver, it's like battling for like top 100.
Yeah.
And I'm looking around like, where do these guys come from? Do you see that too in like the racing, like as far as big races?
I think most of the races I do, you pretty much know everyone that's there. Gotcha. You almost know that you pretty well know who's going to be in the top 10.
Yeah.
Every race. I mean, the pool in Pacific Northwest especially is pretty small. Big mountain enduros definitely draw more. Like as you get closer to like the East Coast, you go to the East Coast, and yeah, dude, just people come out of the woodworks. You're like, where do these guys come from? Like I raced US Open downhill in Vermont, and yeah, I was in downhill. I was on an enduro bike, the only one in the whole field on an enduro bike. But yeah, you're like struggling for a top 90, top 80. You're like, dude, these dudes are hauling. And then bigger races, like in Vermont, the US Open, you get some like World Cup guys that come over because they got a lapse in their races. And at the time they were going to, I think they're going to Mount St. Anne the next weekend. So everyone was in the US, and then they all showed up to US Open.
And everybody's like shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm at the point where I'm not going to like cat down. I'm not going to like go race. Like I can't race juniors anymore, and I'm not going to go race like expert men 18 to 29. Like that's a blowout. I'd feel so bad.
Yeah.
You know? So, but for the most part in the scene here, you pretty much know everyone, at least, you know,
especially at the level that you're
the level
raising.
I'm at. Yeah. And I'm not obviously not world class. So we're, like you said, up and coming.
Yeah.
Ripper, always working on it.
Yeah. And because you're 20, right?
Yeah, I'll be 21 tomorrow.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's such an exciting time. I mean, I'm 29, so got a little bit on you, but yeah, it's
just a touch.
Yeah. I was just yanking on skis and trying to cut my teeth in the snowmobile world.
Yeah.
When I was your age. So, but it's really, really exciting. And, you qualified for Sea Otter.
Yeah, I did. Well, for the dual slalom.
For the dual slalom.
Yeah.
How's that? That event looks insane.
That event it's the event of Sea Otter. I mean, for me at least, I think for most, it's the easiest to spectate. Usually the most chaos going on, people crashing and crowds cheering, chainsaws, all that. I did the enduro and the downhill before that. Didn't go great. I showed up. I hadn't been to Sea Otter in like 4 years. I showed up on my like 170, 38-pound enduro bike, forgetting that like Sea Otter is basically like an XC sprint. Like every stage is like just a full blown sprint. They're so flat. Like you could be on a full blown XC bike pretty much, and people do. And so I was struggling. I had like awful enduro. I had an awful downhill, and then Sea Otter came, and I was like, all right, time to shine. And no, it went well. I wasn't expecting to qualify at all. I was on an XL enduro bike racing slalom. Slalom's like tight, super tight corners. The course is crazy. They had to put in wood bridges in the slalom course because the dirt was like settling. There's like a well underneath that or something going on. And so the dirt was like mud. Like the middle of the course was just this like circle of mud. And so they like built these wood bridges over it like the week before and had to change the course a bunch. So it was like super jank, super tight. And I just went out and had fun, and I qualified like 31st out of 32 or something. So pumped because you can't like right away. They don't tell you like your times. You just gotta kind of like listen to everyone else's times as they go through and like try to match them up and like do math in your head and see if you made it. And then they announce like the top 32 riders. And I made it and I was pumped. And then I realized I was like, dang, if I want a shot of this, I got to find a different bike to ride. And at the time I didn't have like frame sponsor. So I just rode around the pits at Sea Otter on my bike, just going to each booth being like, yo, like I just qualified for slalom. Like, do you guys got a bike I can use pretty much? And I got to Giant Bikes and they lent me a large Trans X, like one of their new Trans X's, which was better than what I was on. And so then race day came around and I was just trying to get used to the new bike, and I hadn't really checked my tire pressures because I'm just like amped. And like first corner blew the tire off of it and like ground the rim into the dirt, dude. I felt so bad. And someone found out that I was on like a borrowed bike, and like they're heckling me. They're like, "Not the loaner bike, not the loaner bike." I was like, "Shit, don't tell anyone."
Word travels fast.
Word travels real fast, dude. It was like, I'm like, dude, it's been like 2 hours. How did someone figure this out?
The first year I raced silver, I was on a 150, which is
that's
like
a tiny bike.
Yeah. And because I just like raced B, just kind of didn't know.
Yeah.
And B there is like, it's a medium enduro. B's not that tough as far as technicality goes.
Yeah.
And so I'm on a 150 and I was just like crushing. I finished 6th overall. I was so stoked. Never raced anything in my life. And they had a beer garden at the bottom of one of the lifts. And there was this huge hill climb. And like, I came around like second lap and they're like, the 150 guys back. Like they all knew who I was. It's so crazy. Dude. Yeah.
Takes a lap.
Dude, the spectators, they figure shit out.
Dude,
quick.
they do.
Yeah.
And that was at slalom. Like it was crazy. I had more people recognizing me from my truck, from seeing my truck on like TikTok and like Instagram. They're like, "Oh, dude, you're the guy with the red Tacoma."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh shit, yeah, like, what up? How's it going?" That was for anyone listening, I have a Tacoma that I've built, and I throw up videos of it on TikTok and Instagram, and apparently people like it.
Yeah.
And there's people recognizing me from that. I just thought it was funny, like, you know, you're saying word travels fast, but that was not something I was expecting to happen.
Yeah. And
it's throwing me off.
That thing's cherry too.
Yeah, dude.
You've put a lot of work into that.
Yeah, it's been 5 years coming on that build.
And how much of it did you do?
All of it. Everything is done by me in my garage or my gravel driveway. And my dad. Yeah. My dad's obviously like, I couldn't do any of it without him. He's the huge help. He's the mastermind behind all of it. Cool. And I'm just the motivation and the, like, you know, I can do the grunt work. Yeah.
But all the fab work.
Yeah. Fiberglass work, fab work. Yeah. All of it.
That's sick.
It's pretty fun. Yeah. It's like what I do in my off time.
Such a good set of skills too, to have.
Crazy great set of skills to have. It's like, I enjoy it so much. It's such a, like, I try to explain to people that it's like almost like art. Yeah. It's like my form of artwork. The same goes with bikes. Like, you're being creative. It's a form of art, but like same with trucks. It's like, I got a vision in my head of what I want to do and what I want to create. And then it's totally up to you to make that happen. And and the skills translate like in so many different ways. And really, just like even just simple things like problem solving. You know, how many times I'm building my truck and I'm like, damn, dude, you're laying underneath there like, oh, fuck, what did I get myself into? Like, just working through that. Yeah,
that's
helpful.
I mean, that's essentially, that was such a big part of like my first job in the snowmobile world. Was we were big mountain guides in Colorado, and like we could make, if you came to work for us, we could make you a rider if you had any sort of talent to be a guide. But like, can you fix shit on the trail? Can you like work on sleds? Can you deal with people? Like, there's so many other skills that are much more important than like just being able to go guide. Because a lot of those days as a guide is like, you're not even really riding your snowmobile. You're like teaching the basics and helping guys. And then like fixing broken arms on the side of the trail.
That's kind of a hectic job, too.
That just reminded me, I had this day in Colorado. I led a small group. I wasn't by myself, but I had a new guy with me, like a new tail guide. Yeah. And a guest rented a snowmobile from us, bent an A-arm, like pretty good. And so this was like an hour into the day. Yeah, you're like, oh, good start. So I give him my sled. And I'm like, here, ride this. We're 4 miles from the truck. I'm gonna go get you a new A-arm or a sled or whatever. I can't remember what it was. Yeah, I was gonna go fix the A-arm. Yeah, because we had spares. So I'm like riding it down the trail and it's bent. And so the skis are all twisted and I like kind of going through the whoops. I'm probably going too fast and just like catch the ski and like tomahawk down the trail. And the sled just like rolls into a tree, cracks the hood.
Oh, dude.
So then I'm like, this is the greatest day ever. This is going awesome. Get back to the trailer. I still have my Avi pack on.
Yeah.
And I'm like fixing the arm, get the arm repaired. And I have it on the sled on its side in the trailer. And I go to tip the sled back up. My Avi bag catches the handlebar. Deploys the Avi bag in the trailer. I'm like, dude, this is the worst day of my life. Like, I can't win at all.
No. Yeah. That's the stuff you can't like prepare a new guide for.
Yeah.
You're like,
totally.
Dude, when everything's going wrong and you're just pissed.
Yeah. And there's just all sorts of things that you kind of learn as you go. And that's something that I've certainly figured out racing moto in the last 4 years, because I didn't get to race anything growing up. So now like learning all these pieces, is that something that you've like the racing side of it?
Yeah.
Because there's so much more that goes into it than just like getting on the bike and putting a good time down. You have to be prepared in every other aspect.
100%. And that's something I've been learning more and more as time goes on. Like, you know, I'm only just about 21 and I've only been like seriously racing the past like 4 years. And so the first 2 years of racing was like you said, I was just getting on the bike and I was just riding and I didn't understand the like complexities of everything else that can go into like preparing yourself for a race weekend. And so now, there's a lot more that goes into it. Like even now, just off-season training is like huge. Where before I'd just be like, F it, I'm gonna snowboard all winter and then hop on the bike in April and then try to like collect myself.
Yeah.
And that doesn't really work.
No.
A new one for me that I've been like really focusing on is just like being comfortable in the pain cave, you know, like just being comfortable, like totally suffering. And like previously it was something I hated. And I think if I could like figure out a way to come to terms with like suffering, then I think I could like have some sort of mental edge on maybe some other people.
And are you talking just the fitness side of it?
Just the fitness side of things. Cause like I found myself being like a great rider technically, at least I felt, but not physically. And I was always suffering. I was always hurting. Even training, I was like, dude, this is all like, I hate it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, dude, I need to stop hating it and just like harness that. And so, yeah, I don't know, just a lot of training, a lot of big rides, a lot of like I picked up running because I hated running. And I was like, I need to stop hating running and like just figure out how to get good at that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just things like that. It's a lot of little things like that. I think.
Getting comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, totally.
And I think for the average, like the people who don't follow enduro or don't follow it close enough, because the only highlights you see are like the 6 sections.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
You don't see like the hell.
Dude, there's so much hell involved in enduro, especially now. It's like trending where like we're putting in like freaking sprint climb sections and stages. I'm like, dude, I don't want to do a 1.5 minute sprint climb in the middle of my stage, but like that's how it's trending. So it's like, get ready for that. You know,
so
get fit. Like,
so it's getting further away from like downhill almost at certain races.
I think last year it has been.
Yeah.
It's especially in like maybe more so the big mountain enduro scene. I didn't actually race any of those last year. They're spendy, but hard to get to. But no, I think it was trending a little bit towards the like physical side of things, which I'm not mad about. I don't think there's obviously some people that were pretty upset about it, but I think they're trying to balance a mix of both for sure. Yeah. And then you're also climbing to the top of each of these stages. So depending on the race, some of the races are 2 days. Some of the races are like 1 days, like all the Cascadia Dirt Cups, CDCs, they're all 1 day races. They usually span from like 5, 6, 7 stages, and you're pedaling to the top of each of those stages. So you're doing on average like 4,000 to 6,000 feet elevation gain in a day. And then while you're doing that, you're also like getting in a race mindset and like sprinting more or less, or racing these stages. So the exertion levels are high. Like you get done with a race, you're cooked, you're toasted.
Yeah.
As you know, racing motos and
yeah,
hard enduro. Like you're roached at the end. You're so done.
I had no idea how much of an endurance thing it was.
Yeah.
Because it's 3-4 hours on the bike. And And I had never fueled for an endurance race.
Yeah, that's
my
huge.
Body. So like learning that whole thing is a huge part of it. And I think like I came from the world of like seeing cross country racers, runners, all those that they all talk about. It's always fuel.
Yeah, it's all
for the body. But then I'm like, when you learn about it in moto, it's the pro guys are just like that you would be if you were racing XC or enduro or any of it on the moto. Yeah.
Constant calories.
Yeah.
All the time.
So break down a stage for the people who don't know, like what it looks like.
Like a stage of racing.
Yeah. Like, cause you have to climb and that's not timed.
Climbing's not timed, but you do have a cutoff. So the cutoff is usually pretty generous. Like pro category, like they're not getting anywhere close to the cutoff. Same with the experts, same with most of the juniors. There'll be some like lower classes that get close to that cutoff because the cutoff doesn't change through the categories. So like all of the lower level classes leave way later in the day. They leave like 3-4 hours after we do, and they still got to make that same cutoff.
Oh,
so
okay.
It gets a little tighter for them, but a lot of the times they will take a stage out for them so the course isn't as long, etc. So yeah, you usually are starting at the bottom most of the time of whatever mountain you're racing, sometimes at the top. And then it's usually like, I'd say most your climbs out the gate are like 1,000 feet, give or take, 1,200, 1,500, depends on where you're at. And then you pretty much just end at the top of your stage. And what's nice about racing pros, there's no wait time ever. I don't know if you experience this racing motos, but stage wait times get hectic when you're in the lower categories because everyone's got to go down the same course, same stage. And so when you're pros leave first, you don't have any wait times. And you get up to the top, you really have as much time as you want. You don't have to drop right away. I kind of like to keep the ball rolling. I don't like to let myself like totally cool down.
Yep.
So I usually give myself like 3-4 minutes, quick snack. It's usually candy for the win. And then, and then you drop. And then it's I'm trying to think of the best way to explain like a race strategy, but a lot of times like you got a full day ahead of you and a lot of stages. And so a lot of people will gas out in the first couple stages. Yeah. Like it's like 100% effort. And then they're tanked for the last 2-3 stages. And that's something I've been trying to figure out a little bit more because the top guys, like truthfully, are 100% on the gas every stage.
Yep.
Like that's just where you got to be, but it's finding your physical limit and making sure you're staying there and you're not like overexerting yourself. And one more, like another cool thing about enduro is you got 6 stages usually or 2 days to make up mistakes.
Yeah.
Downhill, you make one mistake, there's your race run. Yeah. You're done. Even if you lost 2 seconds, like that's top 5.
So it's a cumulative time over those days.
It's a cumulative. So you get to the bottom of your first stage, your time stops. Then you climb back up to the second stage, your time starts again once you cross that line. And we all run chips. We're all timed through our wrist, 2 timing chips, regular timing, backup timing. It's pretty accurate. Yeah. Unless you're the guy that is eating his snack and getting a video of his friend and walk past the timer like 4 times with your chip and your time gets totally jacked.
Yeah. Silver was the first race in the US besides the like when the World Cup comes or the World Enduro Series, they have their own timing systems and everything, but it's usually like this barcode right here.
Oh yeah. So
they used to scan your barcode. This was the first year they had chips and you put it on your fork.
Yep.
And qualifying, I show up and it's live timing and everybody's checking and my buddy's like, dude,
where are you?
You're literally 0-0.
Oh,
like,
dude,
you didn't hit a checkpoint. And I'm like, dude, I just crushed qualifying. Luckily I GoPro'd my entire qualifying run. It was 15 minutes and I went to the timing guy, and I actually had a video of me, like I tipped it over in the enduro cross section before you enter the woods.
Yeah.
And that's what broke the...
Oh, so it came off.
Yeah, it broke off.
I see. Okay,
yeah.
okay.
And I found it.
Yeah,
it was just sitting like
right where
200 yards off the start in the enduro cross section where I went down. And he actually took my time off my GoPro.
That's awesome.
Which was really cool. Because that's just like such a bummer, especially there because we're 5 or 6 riders wide every 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So that would have put me in 275 racers in A class. So I would have been like row 100.
Yeah, just you're like fighting for your life.
Yeah, you can't make up that much time through the bottlenecks. No, because that's what we really face is the bottlenecks.
Yeah.
Guys who somehow are in front of you. You're like, dude,
how did you get here?
Go.
Yeah.
How did you get here? It's crazy.
I got a story on the opposite end of basically the story you just told. This was in Vermont for US Open racing downhill, and they have qualifying for the finals, and it's top 80, which theoretically shouldn't be too bad. I think there's only 130 people that showed up, but basically there was like 30, 40 like elite level World Cup guys that showed up because they're all here for like Mount St. Anne, give or take. And I was stressing it, dude. I was the only one on an enduro bike, like so out of my scene. Like there's all these dudes lined up at the top on their trainers, like with their managers, they're like headphones on. And I'm like up at the top, like, all right, I'm ready to go. And I was just stressing it. The nerves totally got to me. And right out of the gate, like maybe like 20 seconds in, almost went like OTB off this route and like thought I was going down. It was one of those ones you just hold on, like close your eyes.
Yep.
And then it like pulled out of it. And it was just so, after that, like mental space was just so jacked, like couldn't get in the rhythm, blew a bunch of lines, almost went through the tape, had an awful qualifying run. But I get to the bottom, I qualified 80th. And I was like, holy shit, dude. I was like, holy shit. Yeah. I qualified 80. I was so pumped.
Yeah.
My manager was pumped. Everyone was like super excited, even though it was like basically as poor of a qualifying run as I could have had without like totally crashing.
Yeah.
Super stoked, posted on my Instagram, like made it in finals, all this shit. And so I go to sleep. I wake up the next morning and I go to check the start list. I'm not on the start list. I'm like, dude,
classic.
I'm like, why am I not on the start list? So I go check the qualifying results and I'm qualified 81st in the morning. And I'm like, dude, like, what is going on? And so after like 2-3 hours talking with the organizers, we were like trying to get a hold of them. And I still ran practice that morning just in case. There was one kid who ran qualifying without his timing chip, and they didn't get his backup timing in until like 9 p.m. at night. And so he like just totally like pushed me out, which was partially on me for having a horrible, qualifying run. But then to like have that gut punch in the morning where you like totally thought you were in, you're like prepared. Yeah. I was like, damn it.
Yeah.
Dude. That the timing chips, because we had him on the forks too.
Yeah.
And I don't know if if he didn't get one, or it fell off, like same deal, something happened, but
I had the second day, dude, I had the biggest industrial.
You're like, dude,
and
it's on there.
The guy's like, he's like, you can tape over it too, as long as you don't, as long as there's no metal in the tape. So I had a fat zip tie, like an industrial zip tie, and like a bunch of electrical tape wraps around it, and then I was good to go. But that is such a part of it too, is there's so much after the fact timing updates, 100%. And things are changing. Like you're just constantly checking your timing to be like, oh, am I here? Am I here?
You don't know until the podiums are up.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, they're calling people up. Yeah. Like I swear you have no idea.
Yeah. So that race, like you're the only guy on an enduro bike. Is that when you're on Cannondale?
Yeah.
Because they don't make a downhill bike.
They don't. Some athletes ride the Jekyll, which is what I ride, with a dual crown.
Gotcha.
It's just not technically rated for that. Gotcha. So like they don't want consumers seeing that and using it and then breaking a head tube or something crazy. Mm-hmm. So like the option is there. It does fit with a dual crown. They just prefer that we don't.
Right.
And then also like it was kind of the end of my season. I was so comfortable on my bike that like I didn't really feel the need to like jump on a different bike or something. And Cannondale they have a prototype DH bike.
Cool.
Hopefully coming out in the next year, 2 years. I have no idea. But I was the only one on a single crown. I was like 180 mils in the front, 170 in the back on a large. I sized down. I'm 6'4". I should be on an XL, but I ride larges just for the maneuverability. I'm more comfortable on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, little bike, single crown on a downhill course was rowdy, dude. Yeah. It was so rowdy. Cause like you're pushing pace. Like you want to like keep up with these guys. And it gets loose sometimes.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. I'm the opposite. I could ride a medium.
Yeah.
And I ride a large because I'm used to
Interesting.
moto, and like a snowmobile is massive.
Yeah.
So
no, it's true.
It would be interesting to see like how I would do on a medium.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's just, I guess, preference and stuff like that.
I think it's a trend. I think it's been a trend this past
year.
To size down has been huge. I think there's been some people seeing some like elite level riders that have been sizing down, and then all of a sudden, everyone wants to try it. Same with like, I don't know if you've seen Dakota Norton riding his like 80 mil rise bar.
Dude,
you know, totally. Like this year, you know how many people are riding high rise bars? Yeah. A lot.
Yeah.
So same deal. I mean, me included. I'm riding 50 mil rise bars, but
you're also 6'4" on a.
Exactly. I was like, I'm trying to get my reach where I want it, and my stack height where I want it. But it's totally been a trend to size down. I've only seen positive things from it.
Nice.
I think the Cannondale bike especially, it's just a long XL, and it gets longer through its travel with the way the geometry works. So I was having some struggles with it being so long, and sizing to the large has been nothing but great.
Yeah. How much support do you get from them currently?
A pretty good amount. I mean, they're pretty cool with like, they want to get you to races. They're feeding me at the races. They're letting me, camp, hang out in their pits, bikes, parts, mechanics, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The farm is great. The Farm Cannondale, that's like it's not a Devo like race team, because there's some, like, we're not all juniors. Like I'm not a junior. And there's two Camerons, Cameron Joy, Cameron Matter. They're both not juniors either. They're racing pro, but it's kind of like their enduro team. Mm-hmm. But interesting to see what happens with it this year. It's kind of, budgets are tight across the board through the whole industry, as I'm sure you know. So everything's kind of up in the air, which is a hard place to be, but it's so out of their control. It's seeing what's best.
I just saw today that Arctic, who's one of the big three in the snowmobile world.
Yeah, definitely.
They just pulled all their snowcross funding.
Yeah.
So, which is wild. And that was all they were really in the racing scene anymore. Like they have a few guys that race hill climb, but snowcross has been such a backbone for so long. And Arctic has had so much success. Like, they had like Tucker Hibbert he won X Games like every year forever. Like he had such a run.
That program.
Yeah, they're pulling funding out of it. So they've been struggling for a long time. I hope even, like I ride for BRP, but we can't have CAT go away. Yeah. Because we need the competition to continue to push. And it can't become a two horse race.
100%
for just Polaris and BRP. But it's really interesting in that. And then I follow moto closely too, as far as Supercross and stuff goes too, and it's just like there's all sorts of stuff.
All right, I saw this. This is me getting my news from TikTok.
Yeah.
What's going on with? Do you know anything about like KTM's deal? I saw something that they're heavily in debt and they're struggling or something.
From what I saw, with that's a European restructuring. Okay. As far as corporate goes, they're all lining up in the US, same teams.
As always.
Yeah. But they did something really interesting where they own, it's KTM, Gas, Husky are all the same bike.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah. 100%.
So they're little bit different price points, a little bit different parts here and there. I'm not an expert on it. I mean, it's similar to the Husky KTM Link is similar to the Lynx Skidoo Link. They're sister companies. Yeah. But they're both under the BRP. So the chassis that I ride on Snowmobile is the same chassis as a Skidoo.
Okay.
But like we have a different suspension system and different skis and these other differences, but the motor and the chassis is the same. And then from there it changes a little bit. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Especially They dominate the enduro world. I mean,
okay. Yeah, I mean,
you show up to an enduro race in moto, and it's either one of the KTM family bikes, so those 3 bikes, or a Sherco and Beta.
Yeah,
and that's about it.
Yep.
So, and I
was gonna say, I'm like, they're just huge. I couldn't see them like really, having any major issues. But
no,
I mean, fuck, the bike world's hurting. Everyone's hurting.
Yep.
I don't know if it's a come down from COVID still, because pretty much since the year following COVID, it's just been like a downwards trajectory as far as like, I don't even know, just budgets and support. And I mean, you got a lot. I mean, there's a lot of teams this year that are like fully dropping the program, and same with like you were saying with Arctic Cat. But it's, I don't know if it was like, this is where the industry always was before COVID, and then COVID happened and this huge, obviously, boom in everything. And now we're just coming back down to where it was before, or if it's like actually going downwards. Yeah. It's hard to say.
I don't know either on that. I'm not privy to the numbers, or I don't even know.
I'm not knowing numbers either.
But from like the macro of it, what I see is we got COVID. Everybody wanted to be outside. Everybody had, they weren't doing shit.
Yeah.
And, we got checks in the US that we were all getting bailed out. Yeah. So they're spending that, and then manufacturing shut down.
Yeah.
So then everybody's producing, they're just trying to catch up. And then by the time they caught up, we started going down again.
And they have way too much inventory.
Everything. Crazy inventory
like
on
nuts
stuff.
Numbers.
Yep. And then interest rates went up, and election season, like it's just this crazy
snowball.
Of like all these things that come together, and ultimately like people aren't going to spend money on toys.
Yeah.
So, which makes sense. Which is tough for us because we're like the first ones that they're
they're like,
we need this Ross dude shooting video all the time, or do we need canyon racing?
No, exactly.
Please let me, dude.
I was telling my girlfriend yesterday, I was like, I don't think there's a lot of companies out there looking for like a Canyon Wilcox right now. Like, dude, I'm just riding my bike, having fun, but
it's totally and that part of the reason that I started this now too was because of, in the past, I've had big projects.
Yeah.
And this year I don't have any projects because we got our teeth kicked in last year as far as snow goes.
Yeah. Dude.
So this year I was like, I don't want to go like drive around the country and be stressed out about a project. Like when I can just chill here and, build something with.
I'm in your opposite shoes. I'm in the like, I want to get my teeth kicked in and go film a damn project. Yeah. Like you were saying, you're cutting your teeth in when you're 20 or whatever. Dude, I'm ready to do it.
Yeah. I was going everywhere. Like your story about about going to Portland and like dropping your truck off, like catching a flight. That was totally like, I would drive to Portland because the flights were cheaper.
That's what I'm doing, dude.
Yeah. And now I'm like, dude, I'm flying out of Redmond. Yeah.
As you deserve, like you've earned that. I'm like, but I do that shit like you're talking about. Like my flight's $40 cheaper in Portland. So I like drive from midnight to like 4 a.m, park in some random alleyway, walk to the airport, then like get a ride. And then it's some like, or fly, obviously.
Yeah.
It's some random layover, like 4-hour layover. Like I go through all this crap and I get to wherever my destination is. And I'm like, fuck, dude, is that worth $80?
Yeah.
Dude? I just totally killed myself over nothing. But like, dude, I do everything on a budget.
Yeah.
So it almost all comes out of my pocket. So it's like, I make it work.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm all about making it work.
Yeah.
You got to.
Yeah. And, really. and you will, you'll continue to until
100%.
Hopefully things get easier and better.
Absolutely. And I have no problem doing it. It's like, it almost feels like the rite of passage, you know? Like, dude, I got to just grind and like make it happen.
For sure.
That's like all my bike career has been to this point, is making it happen.
Yep.
If you want it bad enough, you'll do it, you know it.
Yeah. And you have to put yourself in situations that
100%
to win. Yeah. Like, if you're not there showing face or whatever, you just like so many opportunities come out of just being in the right place at the right time.
Just being there, man. Just showing up is huge. It's hard to like, previously I'd been like maybe a little pessimistic, or I'd get a little, I don't know what the right word is, but it was hard to see like all these kids I'm racing against, you know, no jobs, no responsibilities. And I mean, that's generalized, but like their job is to race. They train all day.
Yeah.
They got their trainers and nutritionists. Like they are racing. That is what they do. And then it's like, damn, I'm working nights at a restaurant 5 nights a week, like doing side jobs, trying to train, trying to get there. And then, you know, you get your ass kicked, but it's like, whatever, I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. I don't care how everyone else is doing it. Like I'm showing up, doing it my way, how I'm able to.
Yeah.
And, so at first that made me like, I had some like resentment, and now I'm like totally okay with it. I'm like, dude, that's my life. It's my story. Totally. It's my, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something that I struggled with for, not outwardly, but inwardly for sure. Like, for a long time.
No, same here.
And it's cool that you see that this early.
Yeah.
Because what really did it for me was I got to go drive the new Can-Am X3, like the Maverick R.
Yeah.
And I showed up and I was like, dude, somehow, shout out to like Nils and Chris at Can-Am and BRP at the time. Those two were like, they were like, yeah, dude, like we'll put you on the list. And, but I'm there with, I show up and it's like Pastrana, Seth Quintero, like the
big dogs.
Yeah. The big dogs. And Seth is like winning everything in the Rally Dakar off-road world. And he is young, the nicest kid, just like personable, super nice.
Yeah.
And I came away from that and I'm like, oh dude, like if I was him, I would be doing the same thing. Yeah, and the fact that he's a really nice dude and like I totally give him props. Whereas when you're younger, sometimes you're like, oh, it's not fair, dude. He got 100%. All that. It's like in the grand scheme of things, if I can pull anything off, like that makes it that much more sweeter.
Yeah.
Down the road, you know?
100%.
Yeah.
No, totally. It's the classic, like if I was in their shoes, I'd be doing the same exact thing. Dude, why would I hate on that? Yeah. Like, you know, my whole thing, I'm like, if you're a dick, you're a dick. Yeah. If you're cool, you're cool, dude. I don't care like how you got here and how you're doing it.
Yeah.
As long as you're a good person, like it's cool with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the goal going forward with the racing?
Well, I think big term goal. This is like a little kid goal.
Yeah.
I gotta race a World Cup. Mm-hmm. I gotta race EDR like that. Whether that's me being competitive in that scene or not, to be determined. But that's like the big goal. Like that's just, I got to do that before I die. Before I call it quits with biking or whatever the deal is, I will be at a World Cup at some point in my life. I think right now it's a pro podium. I've been just tickling that pro podium. I'm just scratching at it and I want it bad. So that would be huge. And then another one's just doing like cool shit that makes me happy.
Yeah.
You know? And so like, if that's not even like incorporated in a race series or like a result, like whatever, like a big one for me this year that I hope will happen is I really want to get out to the Mega Avalanche in the French Alps. That, I don't know if you've seen any of that race. It's the mass start enduro race, and they start on a glacier. They start in the snow.
Yeah.
So it's like mass starting. Yeah. You know, a hard enduro moto race, but it's bikes. That one's just, I mean, it's just getting there is really the pricey part. But that's a huge one, because that's just like, again, like I'm just trying to tick off these like little kid dreams. Yeah. And that's like a huge one for me, because that race just looks insane, dude. It looks so fun. Yeah. So that's huge. That race has like you have to pass guys. Oh yeah. Dude. Which you're not passing guys really. Rarely. Yeah. I mean, on the longer stages, like when you get into like anything over 6 minutes and you're like, you know, there's a chance that you pass someone. Yeah. At Silver, they do that top to bottom stage. Yeah. Like you'll catch people for sure. But like, you know, 80% of races that you don't see anyone ever. And like that top to bottom stage, if you catch somebody, they're good about just getting out of the way. Oh yeah. Because like, I mean, at that point, they're usually blown up. Probably. Yeah. Like something's happened, or like they're gassed out, or I mean, the bike world in that sense is super, super cool. Good. Like no one's ever like, fuck you, like pass me. Yeah. You know? Like everyone's pulling over and they're like hollering at you to like keep going. Like, yeah, it's great. Yeah. But passing people in a setting like
like that.
Mega avalanche?
Yeah.
Gnarly, dude. Because like if you there's really, I don't know if there's necessarily bottlenecks like in hard enduro, because like you're not like waiting to go up a feature. Like you're constantly moving. But once you get on single track, it's like your chances to pass get pretty slim. So you're like, yeah, you definitely got to like fight for that pole position almost.
Totally.
That race, I mean, that's just one of those things. I just want to do it.
Yeah.
I just totally want to get out there and do it.
Yeah.
And I think it would be dope to film because it's crazy, dude. Those mountains out there. Yeah. Obviously, French Alps.
Yeah. Big, huge. Yeah.
So
that's a big one. Carson and I were just talking about that of the, like, we don't have anything that touches what that terrain is like.
No, nothing.
And I was talking about like the drop. I'm like, dude, you like practice your threes on a 15-foot drop and then you go like spin a 45-footer. How do you, and he's just like, you just do it, dude.
It's just, yeah.
But what we were trying to kind of decipher is like, how do so many guys from Bend get to a high level in their discipline when we don't have what it takes as far as terrain goes?
I had, my girlfriend's family came to town.
Yeah.
And they went and rode Phil's, and her dad came back. I wasn't with him. And he was like, how did Canyon like get so good at biking growing up at Phil's? And I was like, I just thought it was hilarious because it's true when you really think about it. Like the trails that we have here is nothing compared to what's out there. Yeah. Like even if you go 2 hours to like Hood River or something, like their trails are epic. I think you get a lot of people here that just have a lot of like drive to do it, man. Really. And Bend's a huge place as far as like physical training goes. Yeah. It's a great place for it, at least for biking. We don't have a lot of elevation gain, but I don't know. You got a lot of XC trails. You got a lot of single track. You got a lot of flow, a lot of road. Like, so as far as biking goes, if you want to race, like that's huge. And then I think we're lucky enough here to have like race series that are close, whether you're a Grom and you're doing the like gravity series, a bachelor, or you want to go to, Cascadia Dirt Cup and go race a real enduro, or you want to go race a downhill in Port Angeles. Like it's all fairly close. Yeah. I think that's huge, but man, I don't know. I mean, Bend's beautiful and it's clean and you got the mountain. And I think there's a lot of like fun things happening. Yeah. And so I think it can keep you motivated, even if it's not like super great for whatever discipline you're doing. Mm-hmm. I think when you're like a happier person overall, it keeps you like a little bit more motivated to just keep going. Yeah. Plan your next trip or whatever. It's better than like, I don't know, living in some big city and you're like get trapped in your grind and you're just, totally. That's a thought. But
it makes it easier to get out and
you're outside. You're always pumped. And, but I do find that funny. We got a lot of like, there's some up and coming downhill kids in Bend for sure. Yeah. And I'm like, how do you live in Bend and like your only bike's a downhill bike? I'm like, where do you go, dude? Like you got your parents shuttling you, I guess. Yeah. You'll see them out there every once in a while, just shuttling random. They're like unicorns, dude. You see the downhill bike in Bend. You're like, what? It's like, what? Yeah.
And then just every day at Bachelor.
Every day. Dude, and Bachelor, for those who don't know, is about probably one of the hardest mountains on a bike, or hardest on a bike. Like, on a bike, yes. Like destroys your bike. Destroys your bike. Bachelor will claim your wheels, will claim your frame, any components, your bike, your tires, your body. Like that mountain destroys bikes. I'd say worse than Whistler. Yeah. Whistler's got amazing dirt. Like Bachelor is a damn volcano. It will shred you. Dude,
and if you like low side and go, if you crash a Batchy, dude, it's like the king of like full chest protectors. Like, a lot of us are running like full hard chest protectors.
I call those people juggernauts when you see them out there, and I don't blame them.
Yeah. Yeah. I just run like a soft, under my jersey, I run like a little, a soft shell thing that I run basically moto sledding. I wear it for everything, but it's a brutal mountain. I bought a downhill bike just for that. Cause I was like, I'm not taking my trail bike on this.
Dude, I'm in the same boat. I'm like, hey, sponsors, I need a downhill bike.
Dude, I need a park
destroying
bike.
My like nice race bike at Bachelor is just not something I fancy doing anymore. Yeah. But Bachelor is a huge upside to Bend. I mean, even though it's not like a world-class bike park,
for sure,
it is something. And like you said, those kids are up there all day, every day. It's like daycare. Like parents like drop their kids off and they're like, all right, ride all day.
Yeah.
Take the bus down.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. It totally creates like a community for sure.
It does.
Of just Grom rippers, and Red Line's been huge.
Red Line's.
Those kids, dude, I swear every time I go to the mountain and ride, I'm like, these kids, dude, they're lapping this shit every day, and they're so steezy.
Yeah.
And they're just riding Red Line.
Yeah.
It's not like they're riding dirt merch or like crabs every day.
No.
You know, like some of these Whistler kids, but again, they want it and they're doing it.
Yeah.
It's awesome to see.
Yeah. No, it's really incredible up there. And yeah, they're not riding the Huffy that I rode either.
No.
Yeah.
These kids got bikes, man.
It's
funny.
It's really cool to see. And then you just got back from, you went to Baja with your truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to Baja. I went to the Baja 1000, which is the largest desert race in the world, I'd say. You know, Dakar is it's like a stage rally, and it's a incredibly difficult race. But like Baja is a continuous, race, start to finish. I went there to watch. I just went there to spectate. I took the Tacoma down there. We spent a week just grinding on that thing to get it ready to go, and trailered it down there, and just ripped for a week. Baja is a wild place. I mean, if you've been, you know.
Yeah.
If you haven't, you should know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. What's cool about going down for the 1000 is so many people go to spectate. Like that is such a huge economy booster for them. Like they make so much money off of the Score series and the Baja series. So they're just so welcoming. Like you go to any restaurant, any gas station, and they got pictures of Robbie Gordon and whoever on the walls, big murals of like trophy trucks, like everywhere. Like it's nuts. And then watching the race itself, I don't think there's anything else like it. You get this, like I get this sense, this feeling like I almost get when I'm racing bikes. Like it's just like, holy shit, man. When you hear a trophy truck coming at you at 110 miles an hour, like you feel it in your chest and you get this like adrenaline boost. You're like, this is insane. Like, I don't know. It's a crazy feeling. They're so fast that when the cameras don't do it justice at all. Not at all. Because they go through the pits and these sections where there's spectators everywhere, and they just like turn the siren on and just don't lift. 110 across dirt whoops. Yeah. No, if you can look up like anyone at home, just Baja 1000 like POVs. Like inside the trucks of going through these spectators. And it's just nuts, man. Yeah. The people down there love it, man. It's like a holiday. Yeah. Like all of Mexico is watching this race in person. It's amazing. I ran into Ricky Breivik. He's the factory. He's won Dakar twice for Honda on a bike. Yeah. And I was talking to him, and he had his Dakar practice bike in the back. Yeah, and there's two of them. Yeah. He has a practice bike, and then he has a race bike. Oh, 100%. And they just send parts on a schedule, an hour schedule of like, okay, how many hours are on the bike? Okay, you need to replace X, Y, and Z. Yeah. And but he's like, you want to know why I actually really like it? Is because when I'm in the US, nobody knows who I am. Yeah. And then I go to like Dakar, and they all know who I am. It's crazy. Yeah. And sometimes there's like one event. I go to Jackson and everyone knows who I am. Yeah. But everywhere else, they're like, It's so funny. Like I took my girlfriend to Jackson the first time. She's like, what the hell? You celebrity?
Yeah. Like, and all these random dudes are like, what's up, Roscoe? And, but those events are like really special for the community and for the fans and all of that in kind of these microcosm, events. It is. And it's just insane. I think there's a lot of us that have aspirations of like desert racing.
I was going to say that is on the list of, I really want to Ironman it. That's like a huge, huge goal of mine. I mean, that's like, probably a multi-year build up to that, but I mean, I don't have, I have a little bit of experience like hard enduro, like motoing.
Yeah.
But I don't have any desert racing.
Yeah.
So that's like a whole new realm, but it's racing, you know, like I race mountain bikes and I think as a racer, you kind of have this like weird little mental, like, I don't know what you call it, mental tick that like racing just does it for you. And like being there, I've watched that race twice. You're like, man, I just want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
Like this is something I want
for sure
to be a part of.
Yeah.
And like, I want to say that I've accomplished this.
Yeah.
And I've been watching that race with my dad basically since I could, comprehend what was going on.
Yeah.
Like,
he's kind of that.
He's raced it. My dad's raced it. He did 2 years. I think it was late 90s, early 2000s.
On a bike or
he did it on a team in a truck. I can't remember what class he was racing, but yeah. So he's done it. He's been down there. He knows what it's all about.
So that's cool.
He's obviously.
Yeah. So he would know the beta and kind of what.
I mean, he doesn't like to go down there anymore. He's like,
gotcha.
It's a little.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is sketch, dude.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, trucks are getting shot at. Like you're trying, like people trying to rob you. The police are trying to take your shit. They're trying to take your money. They're trying to,
Yeah.
It definitely feels lawless. Like anything goes in Baja for sure. So my dad he'd like to go. I'm trying to get him to go next year. I tried to get him to go this year. But he's building the truck right now and it wasn't finished. He didn't want to go down without a truck. So I get it. Hopefully next year. But yeah, he would be huge.
Yeah.
Just for support and making it happen. And it's expensive, dude. Bike race entries are expensive, but $4,000 race entry to do a race like the Baja it's a lot. And that's just entry.
That's just entry.
It's just entry.
You're hundreds.
Yeah.
You're probably the probably cheapest you could do it on a bike is like $100,000 leaving the house. I was thinking 20.
Really? With my.
Well, that brings me to the other thing that I was going to talk about is did you see that dude who
Australian dude?
Yeah, the Australian dude who flew over, bought a bike
in San Diego,
rides it from San Diego down to the race, races the race
with like no support, like literally bare minimum, like fuel,
and finished it, like.
He went from having like, because they tagged his Instagram when he like left the start line, right? And then by the time the race was over, like 2 days after, he went from like I think it was like 180 followers to like 10,000 followers. Like everyone was like, "Who is this dude?" Yeah, he just showed up and raced.
Dude, what a legend! Just an absolute legend, an Aussie bloke. Just
those guys are the gnarliest. They're so gnarly. Even in the bike scene, they're the gnarliest dudes.
Yeah, that's the same like sledding. The Euro guys that have really. They've kind of blown up in the last few years.
Yeah.
They are psychos. Like Bergmark and his crew they're this like group of guys that I went there. I went to Sweden and rode with them in the spring. And I was like, dude, I'm not hitting this shit. Like it's just so far out of my discipline.
Yeah.
Too. Like I could I could do a lot of it, but I'm just like, dude, it doesn't get me going.
Yeah.
And
fair.
Is it like, are there certain aspects of biking where you're like, that's not really for me?
How is that? I wouldn't, I have a opinion that if you want to be a professional mountain biker, you got to like all of it.
Yeah.
You got to do all of it and you got to be good at all of it. And I think that's something that a lot of like racers maybe lose aspect of. Like, I want to be steezy on a bike. I want to be able to hit the dirt jumps. I want to be able to like race. Yeah. I want to be able to do like desert stuff, like Utah stuff, like what Carson does. Yeah. Like that's out of my realm. That's something I've never done, but it's not something I'm like opposed to.
Yeah.
But like what you're saying where you showed up and you're like, I'm not riding this shit.
Yeah.
Like my first time to Whistler was last year. I'd never been to Whistler, got my passport, like did the whole thing. I was amped, went for Crankworks.
Yeah.
And the first day there, I met this local Grom. I don't know who he was. I wish I knew his name and like got his info, but we were riding and we happened to be riding the same trail at the same time. And he was like, yo, you want to go hit like a loamer, like chill loamer. And I should have known that when a local Grom, who's probably like 12, asked me if I want to hit a chill loamer, he's in Vans, no knee pads, like jorts, no goggles. I should have been like, nah, dude, I'm good. This kid took me down the most roughest trail I'd ever ridden in my life, dude.
Yeah.
I was terrified. And dude, so scared. Just gnarly rock rolls. Like weird. I fell off a rock roll, dude. Like there was like a wood skinny and you like jump 90 into this rock roll and there's a tree on the outside and I clipped the tree and like rode off this thing, fell like 15 feet. I was like, what am I doing? Like, where am I? Like this is like the level of riding is crazy that these kids are at. And then from that point on, I was like, oh, I want to do this, dude. Like, I want to get better at this stuff. Because this is like, obviously, like we were saying earlier, this is nothing like we have in Bend. Mm-hmm. And that was like a huge eye opener. Yeah. Like, all right, I need to get good at all of it. Yeah. And slow, techie riding is something that I don't do a lot of. So I should get better at it. But that got me going. That got the heart pumping. Yeah. Like racing or riding at a level that I think I do. And, you know, Carson's obviously at a much higher level. It's hard a lot of times to like get uncomfortable and like get in a place that's like you're pushing a boundary. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's, I should just speak for myself because Carson does some crazy shit. But going to Whistler and riding stuff like that, you can get out of your comfort zone for sure if you want to. Especially when it happens so quick. So quick. When you're like just having a day and then you get in one conversation and all of a sudden you're riding some crazy stuff. What is this? Yeah. No. And that kid probably knows that trail like the back of his hand. Dude, he's like, this is so sick. He's like, this kid just fell off this rock, whatever. Yeah. I grew up with a dude who he's quite a bit older than me, but he was like OG kayaker, like kind of before they were pros. Yeah. And what he told me, especially when I was like coming up, he's like, you know what you're going to find is that when people if people know who you are and know you're coming and they're kind of the local rider there, they're going to take you to the most, dude. They're going to take you to their like honey hole, A-line, 100%. What they know like the back of their hand. And they're going to throw you to the wolves every time. Yep. And like, sure as shit. Yep. I'm in Revelstoke and they're like, oh yeah, this is our zone. And they know every little pocket and thing. And you're just trying to like kind of keep up with at that point. 100%. And that's what I love to do that to people here now. I'm like, dude, check this out. Yeah. Come check this. I don't get to do that with biking. I'm like, dude, this is, here's Lone Wolf. Yeah. Which is fun. But people are like, where's the steep stuff? I'm not here. So, but no, I love it when people show me the effed stuff like that. That gets me pumped. I'm like, this is perfect. This is why I'm here. You know, usually going to Bellingham, going to Whistler, going to Canada. It's like, show me the gnar stuff. Like that's what I want to be riding. I mean, the amount of progression that happens like in a 2-week visit to Canada is insane. You know, you're like, damn, if I could be here for 2 months, if I could like figure out how to be here long term, like the progression would just take off. Yeah. Do you see yourself moving? 100%. It's just figuring out the financial piece. Yeah. I'm still young. I still live at home. Yeah. Shout out all those people living at home. Dude, I'd be living. It's okay. Dude. I'm figuring it out. If I didn't have a fiance, I'd be living at home. Dude. Exactly, dude. Yeah. Mom would be packing my lunches still. Yeah. No, I love my parents. They're as supportive as can be with it. So they understand. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Keep the room clean and they're happy with it. Yeah. But I think like I leave tomorrow for Bellingham. We're going to go for 4 days. I do a little bit of work, like assisting my buddy Asa, Cameron Baird. They do big photography, video stuff. Yeah. And I just kind of assist. So go there, work for a couple of days and then ride after. But Bellingham's a mecca. I mean, like so much of the industry is there. Yeah. I think some of the best trails in the States for sure. So much secret stuff, so much hidden stuff, a lot of steeps, like a lot of variety. That's a huge spot. Bellingham, the city itself it's nothing crazy. It doesn't like necessarily do it for me like Bend does, but the riding's wild. So definitely there. The East Coast kind of opened my eyes a little bit. Really? I didn't expect the riding to be as good as it was. For some reason, it never really like clicked for me that there's real riding over there. But there's legit stuff. Crazy bike parks, crazy trails. They don't have like nuts elevation, right? Big mountains. And but there's stuff there. And then I mean Bellingham's cool because it's close to Canada. It's the border of Canada pretty much. Whistler's like 2 hours. So it's like that would be a huge perk. But Yeah. I kind of have to move at some point.
Yeah,
it's like
if you want to.
Like Carson's got his compound and he's got his stuff so dialed and so set up. He's kind of got like the dream compound where like I'm just scrounging with the local trails we got.
Yeah.
Trying to make it work.
And you're in a little bit, your discipline's different enough that you need to ride variety, a lot of elevation,
100%.
Yeah.
And Bellingham has that.
Yeah.
And it's also like I'm at a point where kind of need to, I don't know if making a name is the right word for it, but like you kind of got to like start getting out there.
Yeah.
And I think being somewhere where the industry is huge, it can only be beneficial. Like the industry is huge in Bellingham. So like, just connections, people you meet, and you know how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I look forward to seeing your journey. It'll be fun.
Thank you.
Yeah. The podcast will hopefully be here for you whenever you want to flow through.
That would be sweet.
Yeah.
Follow back up round 2.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Shout out. Should we do an ad read, Riley? B-Goat.
I'm going to take this time to thank you.
What's your code?
Dude, I don't have a code.
You don't have a code? Use code Ross. Canyon doesn't have a code.
Yeah, use code Ross. He'll Venmo me.
I'll give Canyon a cut.
No, I have a hard time just making that happen.
Yeah, no, it's
I need to be plugging that.
It's the whole side of being an athlete has changed so much, even since when I started.
Yeah.
Because I was like the tail end of the movies. I wanted to be in the 509 movies, and like I kind of got in them. Like I think one year I had a segment, but it just wasn't what it used to be.
Yeah.
And then it went to webisodes and kind of this like it's a massive shift.
Yeah.
Where and like Semenuk said it best. He's like, you used to be able to like drop 2 or 3 like banger segments and like build a career off of it.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't have, you got to like build this whole other brand around yourself, and
media's king, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's very interesting. And like you see guys who are insane riders with no support, no money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of them don't even care. They just do it for the love of the game. And then you also see guys who can't ride to save their ass, and they have all this other stuff. Yeah. So the perfect is if you can build it all, but it's 100%. Really hard.
I mean, that's kind of what I'm like. I got so much to say on this topic. This is like, I think about this shit all the time. Like it's like, how am I going to make it happen?
You're like right in that time too.
Yeah. I'm trying to, I guess, take advantage of that. It's like, you can't be one-sided. Like you gotta have like some diversity to, especially your social media, and like bikes only reach a certain demographic of people, and like trucks reach a much larger demographic of people.
Yeah.
But the truck and the bike industry intertwine way more than I thought.
Yeah.
So that's been huge. It's hard. I need to put out a video part, and that's like a huge goal for 2025 is like 100% a video part. And I think that's just kind of like the best way to, not leave behind something, but like I'm trying to think of the best way to word this. Like just leave behind something that is truly like you. Yeah. Like something you created and you brought to life.
Something that has a potential to move the needle a little bit.
Yeah. Because racing's not everything. And I know that. And filming video parts would be like ideal. Yeah. But Instagram and just like the short attention span that people have now is like definitely something you got to like work with when you think about like making a video part. Because the amount of videos I've even found myself, like I'll watch 30 seconds of someone's edit and then you're like, on to the next. And you're like, dude, sometimes I'll stop myself and be like, dude, that guy probably worked like 3 months to put together this video. And I just, meh.
Yeah.
And so like, when you think about it that way, you're like, all right, how am I going to make this like different and engaging? And like, I don't know. There's so much that goes into just media and filming and Instagram. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For what I have found and think, I think we're already in the era of personality.
100%. You got to be.
Yeah.
You got to. Yeah.
And with that, what can actually kind of handcuff you to are certain partnerships and things. Cause I feel like in this doing this podcast, I'm really excited because it's going to expose me for who I am. But that's, I'm at that point where
you're
I'm like, dude,
I want that.
This is, because I've been in these positions where I need to make this piece of content for this company, or it needs to be like this. And I've always toned back my actual personality a little bit because I don't want to upset somebody in the process. Yeah. When in reality, every time I've done anything authentic, it hits way harder than. Yeah. And usually it hits hard enough that like nobody gives a shit.
Yeah. Like whatever. Yeah. That was dope.
Yeah. Except for this one time this one time I used to film, we used to do a vlog. Yeah. And that's when I had the most growth. And it was so cake looking back on it. It was like, we lived in this compound we all guided out of. All the guys knew the deal. My buddy Kyle would he'd do all my sled work and I would just create these vlogs. And they were doing good, especially as far as snowmobile numbers go. But there was no money. No sponsors were helping.
A part of it. It was just you.
Yeah. I had a few sponsors and we were just slowly pushing the envelope with we were starting to cuss and say shit. And just joking and being ridiculous. Everybody loved it. And it came to a point where my boss was he's like, one of the sponsors called and you guys need to quit cussing. And I was like, what? Dude, one of your sponsors called. Yeah, not even mine. Keep in mind, I did work for him, but also I was like, they can talk to me. This is my channel, my thing. So when that started to happen, I was like, man, I need to figure out a way to change this shit. Yeah. And get people on board with actually what I am, because this is what's working and it's only going to work more if we go down this road. Yeah. But roundabout way of I think people get caught in that. And I see 100%. It a lot in the snowmobile world.
I was going to say, I see it in the bike world. And me personally, I enjoy riding my bike. I have the most fun riding my bike. Yeah. And so that's something that I try to bring everywhere, to the races, to the Instagram edits, because I think that's what people really see when they see someone. It's are they having fun? Yeah. Are they a happy person? I hate being the person that gets done with a race run and they're cussing and they're pissed and they're bummed out. It's dude, I'm having fun. And I used to get a lot of shit, especially when I was racing earlier, because I would be slashing corners. I'd be doing wheelies. I'd be manualing. I'd be right before a race run, I'm goofing off, whatever. And everyone's getting all focused. But I'm dude, I'm having fun. This is what I'm about. And so I try to bring that everywhere. And I think it does way better than when I try to be super professional. Not last year, but the year before. A little bit last year. I got some advice from some teammates that I raced with, and they're dude, you gotta get a little more dialed in. You gotta get a little more professional. And so I took it really seriously. I took it really professional, and I tried to really focus up, and I was struggling with it. I was dude, this is
you kind of overclocked it.
Overclocked it. Yeah. And I was just struggling to find that flow and really just have fun. I'm I travel all this way to race. I want to at least have fun doing it. Mm-hmm. And so I wasn't getting that. And so then when I toned it back a little bit and was able to kind of find this balance of taking it seriously, having my stuff together, having my bike together, being prepared, but still having fun. That's when it started to kind of click. And I think there is that middle ground.
Yeah, for sure.
I think you got to.
It's a balance.
It's totally a balance. But yeah, I try to bring the smile to the race course. Good. Because so many people get so serious, man. And they have the right to. It's the race. They're trying to make a career. They're trying to win. Yeah. And that's how it goes. But I have fun riding. So. Yeah. And if the kid who's having fun is kicking your ass, it's gets in their head that much more. It does. Yeah. No, totally. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's crazy.
Sick. Well, I'll let you get out of here.
Cool.
Dude, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well,
thanks for having me.
Yeah. We'll bring you back around whenever you want on the.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Catch up.
So, I'm down for it.
Sick. Thank you guys for listening. Canyon Wilcox.
Yep.
You don't know where he's going to end up. He's on.
I don't know where I'm going to end up.
He's on a mission.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys later.
Peace.